Here's a review, refresher, and quick update on Jim Butcher's series The Dresden Files, Skin Game. Hey guys, welcome back to Book Reviews with Emma. It's been a little while since I've posted a video. Currently, I've been at the lake. I got really sunburned. You can't tell in this lighting, but it really sucks. And there's been a lot of things going on, things that I've been participating in, and things that I've had to do at work, and I don't know, it's just been a busy time for a lot of us, I believe. And I finally finished Skin Game by Jim Butcher, the latest book in the series, which if you're watching this after July 2020, then it's not the latest book. But Skin Game is the newest one that's out. It was actually published quite a while ago, but Jim is not cutting down the number of books this year. So today I really wanted to start off with a spoiler-free review and then go into a little bit of a refresher slash spoilery more part. So I'll put the time like right here if you don't want to see any spoilers, and before then it will just be spoiler free as much as I can at least. And let's dive right in. So Skin Game, I actually started this one really slowly because I think I started it in the middle of May and I finished it just today, which is June 7th. I wanted to read it super slow and get all the way up to peace talks, but I'm not that slow of a reader. It took me like a chapter a day, and then I took a break, and then I read like 5 chapters, and I took a long break, and then yeah, after you get into the actual heist that this book is about, you can't put it down. It's just impossible. You can't sleep, you can't do anything, and that's what Jim Butcher does. As far as Jim Butcher books go, this one was packed full of a bunch of drama and a bunch of new characters, well, like 3 or 4 that we got to meet, and that may come back in further books, I hope, because I like quite a few of them. But also, it started off, the book was fast-paced, but the deep action didn't really come in until halfway through, which yeah, maybe that's normal, but since I was reading it quite slowly, I didn't get to the point where I like had to keep reading until a while. So it doesn't have that intense drive like a lot of them until halfway through, which is probably good for some of the Dresden books because a lot of them are just, I'm running a marathon in my brain. But this one, no, the ending, beautifully written, and there's one part in the book that, like, there's some really sad parts, there's some really happy parts, there's a lot of parts where Harry is still torn, and he gets slapped in the face and told, like, hey, you're not as bad as you're making yourself out to be, and I think we really needed this in the Dresden Files for right now, because after Ghost Story and Changes, Harry's been beating himself up and calling himself a monster, and acting like one, thinking he's acting like one, pushing away his friends. But he needs to be told that he's not, and that people care about him, and it's not how it seems in his head. I think what I was complaining about a little bit in Cold Days is that there wasn't a lot of relationship development or growth, and in Skin Game, I think there was a bit more of that. We got to see some sneak peeks of Molly, and with Mab, Murphy, obviously, and a lot about Michael in there as well. And we got to finally like see some closure, along with Waldo too, Waldo Butters. There was a lot of tension, and some of that tension finally got to be relieved, which was needed because it was just building and building and building, and I just was waiting for it to explode in Dresden's face. So Skin Game is exactly 600 pages long, at least in the paperback form, and it also only cost $10 for this version, which that's pretty damn cheap. Now, I know the the hardcover books are a bit more expensive. I just pre-ordered Peace Talks, and it was $25, but I can't wait. I want it to ship to me like the day that it comes out, and it better. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, this is another one of the epic stories where, of course, Dresden has to team up with one of the most hated villains of all time that just can't die. Why can't they die? Whatever. But he has to rob Hades' vault. And this is all in the back, so that's not a spoiler, okay? He has to rob Hades, the god of the underworld's vault, with Nicodemus. He's one of my favorite villains ever written, but damn, I just wish he would die already. We've seen him kill and hurt so many people's lives. But of course, since Mab is behind this and everything is one of her own designs, it's not going to end up how Harry thinks or how any of us are expecting. I love this twist ending, and I laughed so hard. Okay, we're in one of those high intensity moments, and then Dresden just goes back to the past, and you find out this whole time he's known what's been going on, and it's been like a setup. Oh, I really like this book because it brings Harry kind of like borderline onto the villain side, and he really thinks he's a hardcore villain, and so many people are like, dude, you're not a villain. Like, think of all the good things you've done, all the people that are rooting for you, all the people that are on your side, and you're not the villain. Maybe you've had a really rough time, but you're gonna get through this. And finally, like, God, all the other books, Harry hasn't really been on the villain side, obviously. Like, he's deemed the good guy. I mean, it gets pretty interesting, I don't know. But he has to deal with this moral dilemma, and it's gonna continue throughout, like, the next books. You can tell, obviously, Jim, he's not one to put in a dilemma and just only for one book. It usually continues throughout many of them. So yes, this book felt like a kind of classic, normal Dresden Files book, kind of bringing us to reminisce the past that Dresden has had, not dealing with so many complicated affairs like the Winter Night, outsiders, and, I don't know, death. But this one feels like more of a classic thing, but it also has the big twist of being kind of on the bad guy side, and Harry usually doesn't rob people or join Nicodemus in anything except for a duel to death. So I think this is a really great addition to the Dresden Files. I don't know if I could ever say any of the books are bad because Jim Butcher is a genius. Some of the books could make me upset, sure, but none of them are ever bad. And God, like, once you get to page, honestly, like 300, there's no way you're putting the book down. I think one of the overarching themes in this book is faith. I mean, whenever we're talking about the Denarians, it's always, we gotta have faith, and we can smite them with faith, and God will tell you all because Michael and the Knights of the Cross. But Harry's starting to realize that he needs to have faith in himself and his own friends, which finally, like, damn, not everything needs to rest on Harry's shoulders. Like, sure, I don't want everyone to step up and get hurt like he always has. He's always been this strong man that will never let his friends get hurt before him, but I think it's time where he has so much on his plate, someone else needs to get a share, at least a little bit of one. And it's beautiful, and finally, some people that you never would have imagined stepping up in past books have stepped up and just blown away your expectations, and you're happy for them but also scared. And I just know, obviously, again, it's going to come up in further books, but Jim has set it up beautifully to be played. And since faith was the theme, like, Harry is slowly getting more faith in himself. And yes, he's a father, he's the Winter Knight, he has all these things going for him, good and bad, but his faith in himself is what's going to get him through and help him survive and make the right choices, because that's what it's all about. It's not about one choice that defines you, it's about all the choices you can ever make. Overall, I rate this book, how could I rate it any lower? It's a Jim Butcher Dresden book. Alright, now stop. If you don't want spoilers, don't go past this part of the video. Okay? Okay. Alright. Ah! First scene I'm gonna talk about. Harry meeting Maggie for the first time. When she's like, this is my dog Mouse. And he's like, yeah, I know, I gave it to you. And she's just like, you're my dad, blah, blah, blah. Beautiful interaction. Obviously, it had a little bit of the awkwardness, tension, and that was portrayed in the dialogue very well. And we get to hear about how Maggie's doing and honestly see kind of the sad side, how she's lost all of her family. And yes, she has a beautiful family with the Carpenters, but she needs that connection with the ones that are her blood because she can. And she's really connected to Mouse, which is so adorable. Most adorable thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And Mouse loves her. They play together. She rides on top of him like he's a horse. If you guys did not, like, your hearts didn't just pop out of your chest and fill with warm love during that section, okay, that's an exaggeration, but it should have. I just know Maggie is gonna come into the further books, and finally Harry said he wanted to be her dad, which he has wanted to be, obviously, but he's been afraid. And once they talked, I just know, like, he's not gonna abandon her again, obviously. Like, even if it's for her own safety. He has diamonds now. He can have a house that's decked out. Like, if Harry does not get a house in the next book, I'm gonna be pissed. Okay, he has money now. Please, please, Jim. I need him to live somewhere finally, except for that island. I love the island, but, like, he needs his friends back. He needs a hideout. Needs a home for his children. Speaking of that, this other child with him and Lash, what's its name gonna be? I wanna know. And she sounds just like the archive. I mean, obviously a little bit different because it's a mix of Harry and a redeemed evil Denarian demon. So it's awesome. And I just really want to see where this goes. I will bet you a bajillion dollars that the conflict is going to be about this new archive intelligence skull that has been born out of Harry's head. Now, speaking of that, that was just hilarious when he finds out that his brain is pregnant and that's what's been causing all his headaches. And I know he will go to God's length to protect both of his children. I don't even know how much, like, you can call this a child, but he believes it's his child. His parental instincts are stronger than probably any of his bones in his body. So there we go. They're safe. But let me stop talking about my favorite moments for 1 second and just kind of do, like, brief overview, kind of, I guess. So it starts off when Mab is like, hey, Dresden, I need you to do something for me, so get off your godforsaken island that I can barely step on and come back to Chicago, or else I'm gonna murder you. Blah, blah, blah. There's something in his mind, and he already knows that's causing his headaches, and he doesn't know what it is. Mab knows what it is, and the island knows what it is, but they don't want to tell him right now because that's gonna cause a huge mess. And he goes and he finds out this deal is with Nicodemus, and they're gonna break into Hades' Lord of the Underworld's vault to steal the chalice of God. Nicodemus has power from, like, these weird objects like the noose and, I don't know, his coin. But this is something that obviously is hidden away in a god's vault. So it's powerful, and we do not want Nicodemus to get this. Harry does not want Nicodemus to get this. So he's plotting, kind of with Mab, I guess, on how the heck he can not break Mab's word, which would lose him the mantle, but also kill Nicodemus or not let him get the cup or whatever. And he figures something out, and we don't figure that out until the very end, which is beautiful because I was worried the entire time, and Harry just had it undercover and we didn't even know. Because, perfect explanation, Nicodemus, his demon, can live in shadows and hear anything that you ever talk about. So, since we're in first person with Harry all the time, we're able to know what's going on inside, like his brain and what he says and what he does. So you can't really believe, like, oh, he had this huge plan the whole time, but he never talked about it. Like, that's not believable unless you write in this thing where Nicodemus's demon can go into the shadows and hear anything that you say. So it works perfectly because Harry does not talk about how he has this plan the whole time, and it makes the writing like smooth and it works out perfectly. So he's had this plan, but us readers are in the dark, which I love when us readers are in the dark and we get to hear this one thing that just mind blown. Whoa! He has this whole plan, and they meet up with Nicodemus and all of these random people. Murphy, Asher, Anna Valmont, who's been in one of the past books. Honestly, I don't really remember her, but I like her as a character. This gray dude, and Binder again. Like, really? Why didn't he skip town? My god. And Deidre and Nicodemus, and then this other mystical beastie thing that I don't even know how to say its name, but it's humongous and under a veil and kind of and scary. Genoswaka? Yeah. But, Gray was actually hired by Harry the entire time, and that's the plan. Like, he's supposed to pretend that he's Nicodemus's, like, hired man, but he's hired by Harry, and that was the flashback. See, here's the page, like, of when he says game over, and then he goes into the flashback of how he hired Gray Goodman. That was just so good. Like, here's where I believe Harry is really stepping up, because all this time it feels like he's being pulled by all these villains, and he's the one on the string and all this stuff. Even by Mab, it feels like he's always the one that's on the strings and doesn't know what's going on. Mab set him up, yes, but Harry figured it out and made this beautiful plan to where it all ended up in his favor. And yeah, some people got hurt along the way, which wasn't exactly planned, but Harry ended up on top. Obviously, he's not dead again. Also, Hades, Marcone, and Mab all teamed up and fooled all the others. Like, they got back at Nicodemus so hard. And Hades? I'm liking this dude. I feel like Hades is going to be showing up in some of our newer stories coming up, like Peace Talks and Battleground. Maybe after that, I'm not sure, but he has to have a bigger piece to play since he's so much like Harry, and they seem to have gotten along kind of well. A little bit of tension, obviously, when you're talking to a Greek god, but him and Harry, yes. So Harry ends up with these 4 artifacts that are like bestowed with faith. The thorn crown, a stone tablet, this knife with a ruby on the end of it, and another cloth, another shroud, which seems to be the real one, maybe, I don't know. And Harry is entrusted to use and disperse these weapons, again, like he's entrusted with almost everything, and to use them at the right time. And Mab obviously probably wants them to fight off the outsiders. They're extremely, extremely powerful weapons of faith that can probably ruin the entire world or save it, so of course Harry has to deal with it. Again, we get another little bit of a cliffhanger because he's hanging out with his daughters, damn. And he goes over to Murphy, kisses her, like, finally, damn. And he also has all these weapons that, like, mass destruction. He's gonna hide them out on the island, but I, again, will bet you the next book is gonna be about his daughters and these weapons. It has to be, right? Tell me what you think. So a couple things I didn't necessarily like about the book is how it kind of starts off. I felt like we were pushed in, but at the same time, like, it was slow. It was really contradicting to me. Maybe it was just me because I was reading it slow, but I don't know exactly. It was kind of hard to just get into it compared to the other books. I think since the rush from changes has died down now, you're kind of like, ooh, okay, this book's gonna kind of be a relaxer because so much has happened in the past 3, and it kind of was. I don't think you could ever say one of the books after Changes is a relaxer, but compared to the others, yes, it was more relaxed. Another one of the things is, I feel like since Dresden has given up so much stuff since Changes, like his home, his car, his friends, his daughter, like any love life whatsoever, like all these things have been just disappeared from his life, and he hasn't tried to get any of them back. Like, I've been dying and waiting for these things to return back into his life. He barely has a home on the island, like, it's a shack, cabin type thing, but is it really a home when none of your friends can visit you, or your daughter can't live with you, and it's just this evil island? Is that really a home? He is the warden of the island. He's not the home father of the island. He's the warden. He doesn't need to live there. Yes, him being there a lot of times is kind of good, like he learns, but again, he doesn't need to be there. And it was addressed in the book how he was scared of going back to the life he had because it crashed down in Changes, and then he was a ghost. Like, he didn't have anything. And Cold Days, that was like a book that took place in 3 days. And most of it was on the island, and like lots of people died. It was very stressful. Most of it was on the island / like Mab's, the big winter court rooms, whatever, yeah. So it was, damn, like, I just want to see him build up something again. So far it's just been flattened and nothing has grown. Maybe like, oh, we got like a daughter, we got to see her for a little bit, and ooh, like, we kissed Murphy a couple times in the past couple books, and God, what else has even happened? No house, no car, just people. Oh, we talked to your brother for a little bit. Oh, we talked to Michael, who finally slapped some sense into him. Finally. Okay, maybe I'm overreacting, but I've just been waiting for Dresden to finally get a hold on himself again. He's been falling down the cracks because he's not a people person, but he needs people to tell him that he is a good guy. Like, these terrible things that he has had to make choices to do not make him a terrible person. Yes, he may have killed Susan, but it wasn't as bad as he's making it out in his head. So, finally we get some sense knocked into him, but he still doesn't have a home. I just want him to have a home and a place where his daughters can live, or at least visit from time to time. And, I don't know, like, he's lost all these things that meant so much to him. I know it's going to be hard for him to get all of them again, and he's afraid that he'll lose them all. But God, he can't just live on that island. Okay, that's all the ranting that I have, though. Good things that I loved. I loved the characters that were brought in, possibly killed. I really liked Asher. But she had Lassiel's coin, and we all know how that went. I feel like she isn't dead. Anyone else got that feeling? Yeah. So, Binder came back. Goodman Gray. I like Goodman Gray. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you guys. Please comment down. What did he get from Harry? Did he get $1? Was it a pardon from ever going to, like, the prison, maybe? Is it a favor? Like, I'm just confused. Why didn't he want the diamonds? Maybe I missed something. I don't know. Tell me what you thought down below, please. Love to see the faith, which I brought up earlier, and his faith in Jordan, the fanatic who had his tongue cut out. He still had the choice to not hurt anyone when Nicodemus was fighting everyone. So I love that. Brings up Waldo with the sword of faith or love. I don't know which one it was, but glowing sword of mystical power that Uriel just like knew was gonna happen. Also, Uriel is badass. Okay. I hope we get to see more of him. Yeah. So, Waldo has been kind of the Batman with Bob, which I love that dynamic. That is so, like, Bob needed someone who kind of utilized him more. Not that Harry didn't, but I feel like they were, like, good acquaintances that relied on each other. But Waldo and Bob, they're like besties, partners in crime, partners in heroics. I don't know, yeah. They're perfect for each other, and they have been doing, like, marvelous feats together. Yeah, it's not what Harry can do, but it is good, and Waldo has finally stepped up from being this scared little guy who he's made quite a few strides, which his character development, beautiful alongside Harry's and a lot of the other people growing, obviously. So he's kind of like the Batman. He stood up and the sword fell into his hand, and now he's a Knight of the Cross, which I think works out really well for him. And he's gonna do great. Of course, this is gonna be in another book. There's no way Jim is just letting that happen and not gonna talk about it again. I hope we don't see Nicodemus for like 4 books. I'm tired of his stupidness. Okay, I love him, but I'm tired of him. And I want Waldo to be alive for a little bit longer because I'm afraid he's gonna get hurt. This video is getting really long. Please hold on and watch till the end. I have stuff to say. There were a lot of things that surprised me in Skin Game by Jim Butcher, and it's one of the better books in the entire series. They just keep, like, exceeding all my expectations, even if I thought Changes was blowing my mind for good. Like, all of them just keep getting better and better. Like, okay, nothing can compare to Changes yet. But each one has its own purpose in the entire epic fantasy that means so much to, like, the whole story, and each character, how we see them grow so much and make mistakes and have struggles and have doubts about Harry that we get to see. It's so beautifully written, and the world is so complex, but it works. And Jim, if you ever got to see this, which you probably won't, thank you for writing such an amazing series that I can dive into so deep and learn so much from. Thank you so much. If you guys agree, just feel it. Yeah, okay. So, thanks for watching till the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed Skin Game. Tell me what you thought, if you agreed or disagreed with some of my comments, and the, like, only 2 criticisms that I offered, because I just love the writing so much that I can barely see past the amazingness. But, next, I just really want you to tell me, answer those 2 questions about what Harry's daughter's name is gonna be. Do it right now. And what did Harry give to Goodman Gray, the Narcolepsy? I butchered that. Okay. Jim Butcher. Oh god. Disregard that pun. I'm gonna leave it in through my editing, but that was probably a bad choice. And thank you all for supporting me. I know I'm a really small YouTuber and I don't get very many views, likes, or comments, but each one I try to respond to or I try to acknowledge because I love books, TV shows, movies. I've done a little bit on those too. And they fuel my life and my passions. I love to write. I love to read. I mean, who doesn't love to watch shows once in a while too? So thank you for helping me fuel my passion and giving me advice, giving me comments, criticisms, thoughts on books, because I don't really get to talk about these with anyone else, and I'm just really happy that some people love these books just as much as I do, and even more. So thank you for watching to the video, and see you next time.